Good evening. Government officials from 140 countries met with business leaders and policymakers in Dubai today for the start of the 2025 World Government Summit in the United Arab Emirates. Under the theme Shaping Future Governments, the summit organisers say they aim to foster international cooperation and inspire and empower the next generation of governments. Well, the conference continues until Friday, but let's take a look in more detail now at some of the key objectives and messages of the event.
The World Government Summit 2025 kicked off in Dubai today, running until February 13th under the theme Shaping Future Governments. The event brings together global leaders and experts to discuss key topics such as AI, technology's impact on governance, sustainability, and solutions for global challenges. In his opening speech, United Arab Emirates Minister Mohammed Al-Gagawi highlighted the transformative changes expected in the next 25 years, surpassing past experiences.
I will repeat what I always say, that what the next 25 years will hold in terms of progress will surpass all of what humanity has witnessed in the history of civilization. We are moving from a level to a whole different one in the history of human civilization. Artificial intelligence hasn't been born yet. It is like a fetus in process of formation.
This year's summit has attracted a record number of participants, with more than 30 heads of state, 140 country delegations, and notable figures like Elon Musk, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva, and former UK Prime Minister Sir Tony Blair. Attendance has increased by over 50% compared to last year, making this the largest summit in its history. Klaus Schwab, chairman of the Board of Trustees at the World Economic Forum, stated that the shift to the intelligence age is happening exponentially faster than past transitions.
And now, it's much more than just an industrial revolution. Similar to the transition from the agricultural age to the industrial age, we are now moving from the industrial age to the intelligent age. But there is one big difference compared to the first transition from the agricultural to the industrial age, where we had several generations to adapt. Now, this transition is happening at exponential speed.
The final day of the summit will feature forums focused on climate change, global health, and government lawmaking, aiming to develop innovative solutions for the future of global governance.
In other news today, as the trade war between the US and China continues, Beijing is doubling down on efforts to cultivate homegrown tech talents and maximize innovation. Last week, China's Ministry of Finance hit back against the Trump tariffs with a 15% tax on coal and liquefied natural gas and a 10% tariff on crude oil, farm machinery and pickup trucks. Now the Chinese government is turning its attention to cultivating technology hubs across the country designed to accelerate innovation. Well, a new series of measures have been announced at cities like Hangzhou, home to AI firm DeepSeek and e-commerce giant Alibaba, designed to speed up innovation by bringing businesses and universities together, as well as linking science with technology. Our Beijing correspondent Manor Babur has more.
As tensions escalate between US and China, especially in the tech sector, China is intensifying its efforts to retain local tech talent and reduce its reliance on foreign expertise. With US ramping up restrictions on Chinese tech firms and cutting-edge technology, Beijing is trying to foster an environment where its homegrown talent would remain within its borders. One main strategy is the enhancement of salaries for its innovators, engineers, and researchers in key industries such as cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. The Chinese government is also ramping up investments for Chinese tech firms and rolling out incentives for Chinese professionals in the tech sector. China's initiative to develop high-tech hubs, such as in cities like Shenzhen and Hangzhou, is also aimed at retaining these Chinese professionals who were previously seeking opportunities in Silicon Valley. Despite these efforts, challenges remain, like the allure of higher salaries and research opportunities in Western countries. Still, China's emphasis on developing a self-sufficient tech sector is a clear response to the ongoing and growing geopolitical rivalry and the desire to technological independence. Manur Makhtoum, Beijing, A News.
And it seems that public interest in some of these areas has grown recently too, with the Chinese government also opening many industrial and technology hubs to encourage industrial tourism. Let's look a bit deeper now at this growing trend.
This is an industrial park and hub at Changsha for Broad Group Company Limited, and also it's their headquarters. It's the first science and technology park named after an enterprise in China. People can tour the product exhibition halls, R&D centres and other areas to learn about the company's corporate culture of innovation and environmental protection.
The industrial tourism project for our group began in 2016. Visitors can get direct contact with advanced inventions including our high-tech central air conditioner, intelligent detection platform and cutting-edge construction materials.
Science education courses also provide awareness of the technology for clean air. Nearly 70% of the land here is utilised as ecological reserves and organic farms. Here, a group of tourists are just witnessing the birth of a super-intelligent heavy truck. On its production line, these robot arms tell the story of a manufacturer of concrete machinery.
In addition to factory visits, we also have projects like creative programming, 5G smart heavy truck unmanned driving.
As well as the manufacturing areas, there are also alternative destinations for a different experience. This is Metanba County, named after coal. It has hundreds of years of history in mining. Now it's been transformed into a cultural heritage park.
What we can see here are the tools and equipment used in coal mining before, as well as some mining scenes that we have restored. Our county used to have 4 state-owned coal mines, which were closed in 2014 to adapt to the development of society. Now, our park is used to commemorate the efforts of the older generation and the Black Gold era.
There are 8 new areas for the public to experience various themes of industrial tourism across the city of Changsha. Some of these include manufacturing, cultural heritage, food industries and aerospace. Officials at this type of hub say it wants to attract potential consumers and cultivate talents for the future.
Well, from China to the US now, let's get an update on the latest news from the White House with our man in Washington, Obey Sharbanda. Obey, there's a lot going on besides Trump's tariffs and the trade war with China. Give us an update on what's happening in Washington.
Yeah, a couple of developments that we're watching here for this week. One is that the president of Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky, has said that he could potentially agree to a major Trump demand, which is to give concessions or major investments to American companies in Ukraine's rare earth metal mines in the eastern part of his country in exchange for either some sort of U.S. security guarantee as part of the ongoing negotiations with Russia, or in return for U.S. weapons or weapons being provided by the U.S., some straight from the stockpiles, existing stockpiles of the Pentagon, straight to the Ukrainian military. This has long been a demand by President Trump, who has said while he was on the campaign trail and following his reelection to the White House, that Ukraine is receiving all this money from the U.S., including funds that essentially prop up its entire budget that provided from the U.S. Treasury. That the Ukraine is receiving all these weapons, all the support, but America wants to see something in return. That has been Trump's explicit policy and stated policy. And now we are seeing that perhaps Kiev might agree to those demands as part of Zelensky's attempts to build a better rapport with President Trump, as reports emerge that the White House is in talks with the Russians. We've seen General Kellogg was President Trump's envoy to Ukraine and Russia, going on local media here in Washington, D.C., saying that these talks are ongoing, that President Trump wants to see a resolution to this war that's killed hundreds of thousands, a resolution perhaps sometime this year. So that's a major development here that indicates that perhaps President Trump will be willing to continue military support to Ukraine if there is some sort of major concession on rare earth metals. Why are rare earth metals so important to America? Well, right now, China is the biggest source for rare earth metals that the American defense industry, telecoms industry, other high tech that are, these rare earth metals are used for other high tech purposes, such as semiconductors and by the aerospace industry. So diversifying that source of these rare earth metals would have strategic benefits to the U.S. And we are expecting King Abdullah of Jordan to hold what could perhaps be a tense meeting with President Trump, as the president says that the billions of dollars of aid that America provides Jordan, which Jordan depends upon, could be in peril if the king does not accept President Trump's plan on Gaza, which could include the relocation of some, if not all, of the Palestinian inhabitants of the Gaza Strip. King Abdullah has publicly been said and privately been very opposed to this plan. So it'll be very interesting to see how these negotiations take place behind closed doors and if there will be a joint statement by the two. So that is the big meeting that is happening right now in Washington, D.C., and whether or not these tariffs on the EU, when they'll be announced, we're expecting them to be announced very soon. Of course, J.D. Vance, the vice president, is in Paris right now, where he just gave a speech on the importance of artificial intelligence and a shot to the bow to the European Union. J.D. Vance, the vice president, saying that the U.S. would not accept regulatory bodies, foreign regulatory bodies, he was referring to the EU, that would censor American companies. And that has been a big concern for Elon Musk, the special government employee heading Doge, and of course a senior advisor to President Trump, where in the past, EU regulatory bodies have made statements against X, saying that they want to regulate what you can post on that social media platform owned by Elon Musk. So lots going on the foreign policy front and on the trade front. All eyes right now on when President Trump will announce wide sweeping tariffs that could impact the European market.
Thanks, Obey Sharbander there for us in Washington. Well, that is all we have time for on this edition of News Hour. Please do stay with A News for more news and analysis. And from all of us here in Baku, we wish you a very pleasant evening ahead.